This video is for entertainment purposes only. Do your own research.
From UFOs to weird things we know, it's time for that paranormal, strange, phenomenal show. Biometric wars, a prison planet run by the man. It's time for the Tinfoil Canadian. Take off your hose.
Hello once again, fellow foilers, and welcome to the 13th episode of the Tinfoil Canadian, the show that explores and discusses strange TikToks and videos from around the world that focus on the unexplained and unknown. On today's show, we ask the questions: could time travel be possible? Are we living in an alternate timeline? Is it possible to travel into another dimension? Hold on to your toque, because this skidoo ride is about to get crazy, eh?
Well, Jack, this was the result of a formula which was given to me by a man who landed a ship at my airport in 1953. And we put this formula under research, tested a number of experiments on a bench in a good electronics lab in Chicago, and we produced phenomenal results with evidence that we should do it on a larger scale in order to be able to do more with it. And this evolved out of something that started in 1953 into a 4-story high machine that we're working on down there today.
Now, George, I don't care whether the machine is 4 stories high or 40 stories high or 4 inches high. When I say calmly and unexcitedly, a time machine, what does your formula tell you can do with a time machine?
Well, Jack, our formula has no time factor, which electronic formula does have. And on the other hand, electronic science has only had 2 dimensions to work with: the electric pattern and the magnetic pattern perpendicular to it. And we discovered a third zone, which we call a time zone. And we are working through this zone with an effort to orient the magnetic field to give us other results than our science can obtain at present.
George, it's double talk to me. A time machine means to me a little box that I can go into and go back 5,000 years or forward 10,000 years. Is that what your formula tells you can do?
Well, Jack, this isn't a little box. This is a 4-story machine focusing fields that we can orient to produce this zone big enough for a man to get into. It isn't a box.
But what happens to the man when he gets into the zone? I'm all agog with curiosity.
Jack, we've discovered this zone is subject to thought. Now, since time doesn't record events the way we do on calendar and clocks, you could only record an event by thinking of it. Now, theoretically, we believe we can take a videotape magnetic camera into the time zone and photograph Lincoln's Gettysburg Address or Caesar's armies marching. Fox, you could only record an event by thinking of it. Now, theoretically, we believe we can take a videotape magnetic camera into the time zone and photograph Lincoln's Gettysburg Address or Caesar's armies marching or anything that's ever happened.
Let me get this straight. In other words, you're telling me, like H.G. Wells imagined 50 years ago, that everything that happened in time is still there to be seen by the recreation electronically of a thought which exists.
Jack, you know how you talk into a tape on a tape recorder and play the interruptions back, identical to the play that you made. The Earth's magnetic field is the same way. You can put interruptions into it and play them back out of it. An associate of ours in creating a magnetic coupler with this principle coupled in the Earth's magnetic field and played back TV shows from stations that aren't even in business anymore.
You mean an experiment has been done to bring out of the air television programs which have been and gone?
been and gone.
Now, where was this experiment conducted?
It was conducted in Santa Monica by an associate of mine.
Why hasn't this hit the headlines throughout the world? That's a time machine in action. In fact,
Jack, the reason it hasn't hit the world is because, as I understand it now, the Navy Department took him and the research over because he also discovered he could bounce magnetic echoes off the ionosphere and locate submarines under the ocean, regardless of where they were.
Do you guys think that time can be played back like a video? If that experiment was in 1953, I have to wonder what they are doing with this technology today. It sounded a lot like Project Looking Glass.
This is where things take a turn, because according to Bill Wood, a former Navy SEAL with high-level clearance, the US military once had access to a device called Project Looking Glass, a technology that could supposedly view potential future timelines.
The project was shut down because there was a problem when we approached 2012. The timelines converge on that point in time. When you note how string theory works and how the possibility of possibilities works and how making one choice over here doesn't necessarily mean that the other choice couldn't exist at the same time. But once you get your brain wrapped around this subject, you find out that at the end of 2012, in an easy way to put it, the choices that we make become less and less consequential to the future. And eventually we're pushed into this bottleneck of time, no matter which choice we make.
Okay, so is that certainly 2012 in your understanding?
It's well coincides with December 21st, 2012.
So at that point, all possibilities lead to the same
Timelines.
upon.
All possible timelines lead to the same basic set of history in the future.
And after that, they shut it all down. Now ask yourself, why would a system like that be buried, and what exactly did they see? Because this isn't just about false memories or tech. It might explain why everything since 1999 feels frozen and artificial, like we're on rails in a version of reality that wasn't meant to last this long. And if you think that's wild, wait until you hear what else Looking Glass may have revealed. So what exactly did they see with Looking Glass? According to multiple whistleblowers, including Bill Wood and other interviewed by Project Camelot, every time they ran the device, no matter what variables they changed, all future timelines converged to a single fixed point. That point, somewhere between 2012 and 2016. After that, the future became unpredictable. No more branching outcomes, just a wall.
So it's super interesting that they couldn't see beyond 2012, or rather they could see beyond 2012, but maybe things became inevitable. That was backed up, by the way, by a lot of different things. Mayan civilization, the calendar, remember that whole scare? Why doesn't the calendar go beyond? So you arrive at this point and you wonder, what is this, right? Suddenly these people who are evil are no longer allowed or able to control outcomes, essentially. Or perhaps, so maybe they did see something beyond 2012. But no matter what they did, they couldn't change the outcome of that thing that they saw beyond 2012. So it wasn't so much the future couldn't be predicted, but rather that they couldn't change it, like something was coming. That's how it kind of feels to me when I just examine everything that's going on. There is this panic, like evil is panicking right now, and they're making a lot of mistakes because they're no longer in control. And I would also add here that one of the things that I've noticed is that they're trying to turn us all, again, maybe this is their solution, where they're going, okay, what are we gonna do? We can't change the outcome. Maybe we can just turn everybody into a computer program, like they want us all to be the same. They seem to get really angry when we behave like humans. Like that's one of the things they're trying to triumph is our humanity. We talked about this a lot with the Charlie Kirk story, the reaction, how we felt icky, but they were like, what's wrong with you? How dare you feel icky? How dare you not like this? Don't you know this is what he would want? It's like their inability to defeat our humanity is angering to them. Now, something that was crucial, which was revealed about Project Looking Glass, was that the people who were in the room while this device was being operated, their conscious thoughts impacted the device, okay?
Do you believe all timelines lead to the same inevitable future? no matter what choices we make? Or do you believe every choice and conscious thought we make determines what our future would be?
Whistleblowers or agenda pushers? I'm very skeptical anytime someone comes out as a whistleblower, but I want you to listen to this whistleblower talk about Project Looking Glass. It's supposedly a secret government project where they could literally see into the events of the future. Now I know that can sound extremely far-fetched and even science fiction, but there are thousands of documented cases of people having near-death experiences and experiencing some sort of screen that is showing them their past life. So maybe the elites of the world just found a way to tap into that ether or that energy that can literally show you past or future events. Now, like I said, I'm skeptical of whistleblowers, but I want to let you listen to what he has to say about this project and then give you some thoughts. And just to catch you up to where I'm jumping in is this project, they feed information into it and they keep getting the same end result. No matter what information they feed into it, there's an end result that they cannot avoid.
That they would lose control.
Because that information was a monumental concern when I was in the military about how to prevent this inevitability. Now, at first I thought it was end of the world. Now I see end of the world as end of their world.
Now, by their world, he means the psychopathic elites that have been controlling this place for too long.
There is an inevitable event. It's been forecast, it's been predicted, it's been fed to us in a slop trough of what they want us to believe will happen. However, they don't actually have control over what happens. They only have control over the reaction, and it seems that no matter what they try to do to cause their desired reaction, it's going to have an opposite effect. Now, it's much, much easier for me to explain today what that process is as opposed to back then. But if I had to give it a name, I would say it's the awakening process. It's an evolution of consciousness that cannot, will not, and no matter what decisions or possibilities are injected into the equation, eventually it all resolves down to us all learning the truth and becoming aware of this massive dam of lies that has been built that keep us from knowing massive volume of information. Any attempts to try to go away from this one inevitable conclusion, I again see as a new beginning, an end of this reality, the beginning of something that we can't even possibly understand based on the level of our beliefs currently. But when all that information comes flooding out, there's going to be no denying what's true and what's a lie or what's illusion.
Now, I have been a big believer of exactly what he is saying for a while now. I think something big is coming. I think an awakening is coming. And I think potentially that is exactly why the elites are building underground bunkers. Because they're going to be afraid of us learning the truth of all the lies. But I do hold an ounce of skepticism because I just don't trust government whistleblowers. But honestly, as ridiculous as this sounds, I do think there's probably a lot of truth to this, especially because they put the truth right in movies, and I'm going to explain what I mean. If you don't realize this already, they invert all the movies, where the bad guys are really the good guys and the good guys are the bad guys. Case in point, Thanos is a representation of God, and all these guys that are supposed to be heroes, they're actually representations of the fallen angels. And well, if you've seen Infinity War, they have a scene that reminds me exactly of what this entire Project Looking Glass is talking about.
Excuse me? But does your friend often do that?
Strange. You all right?
Hey, whoa.
What was that?
Look forward in time, to view alternate futures, to see all the possible outcomes of the coming conflict.
How many did you see?
14,605,000.
How many did we win?
Now remember, in this movie, Thanos was coming to bring peace to the universe by eliminating half the population. Maybe that's a representation of God coming to eliminate the evil that's been here way too long. And maybe, just maybe, those fallen angels or Luciferians or whoever you want to say they are still holding out hope that that 1 in 14 million chances is still going to happen. The one thing I do want to keep your mind open to is that sometimes I think they create these scenarios to make you sit in your seats and not be an active participant in trying to wake everybody up or trying to do good. Because if you have this inevitable feeling that the awakening is going to happen, well, then you just sit and you do nothing. Don't be like that. Be part. Jump in. Get in the game. Be part of this. There is something big going on here, and we need your help. And all this was for entertainment purposes, of course. Seeing into the future, Project Looking Glass. All for entertainment. I'm a satire account. I hope you enjoyed.
Are we on the verge of a mass awakening? Do you think the elites know what our future has in store for us? I often wonder about these questions.
Strange experimentation. There are beings from portals coming in and out.
Beings coming in and out of portals.
Yes, they have apparently in the bottom of the Cern this portal, this door where they are dealing with all the subatomic dimensions.
She's not the only one talking about this. If you've seen the latest video, you know Dan Burish has been saying the same thing.
They are from the future, 45,000 years ahead of
45,000 years ahead on a separate timeline than what we are presently on.
People from the future coming through open portals. I can't even wrap my mind around it. And now, to hear a Cern insider saying it out loud. But here's what's more disturbing.
When you look at what is going on in the Cern, there is a fight from some of the military agencies. Intel, they say that there is a fight on time. They're trying to change time.
Trying to change time or changing timelines? The cornucopia was there. Tinkerbell did dot the I in the Disney intro. Pikachu's tail had a black tip, but now they say it was never there. And there are dozens of examples just like this, and every single one of them messes with my head. Lately, I feel something is off, something is wrong with time itself. I can feel it, and I know a lot of you can feel it too. I have this feeling that time is broken. It passes too fast, even if I stay and do nothing for an entire day. Okay, I know there are some scientific explanations for that, but what about the Mandela effect? How do you explain that? This is why I had to make a part 2, to put it all together. This Cern insider talking about portals and beings coming in and out, this feeling that time itself may be broken, the Mandela effects, and all these unanswered questions and doubts about what Cern is really doing. While researching this video, I came across someone named Frank Jacob, who says,
I thought I'd do an impromptu report on something which I think is giving people a lot to be concerned about. The investigative journalist Miriam Hanine recently published an article entitled "Concern Erupts Over Portals, Particles, and the Large Hadron Collider."
So I followed the link shown below, and surprise, it looks like the article was deleted. Interesting. A journalist writes an article raising concerns about Cern, and the article can't be found anymore. I searched everywhere on their site. Nothing. But I did find it eventually in the web archive, and what it said shook me more than I expected. Let me explain what was in that article, because this is where it gets very, very interesting. All of this comes from the investigative journalist Miriam Hanine. First, you need to understand what's happening at Cern. It's very important. 10 years after discovering the Higgs boson, the so-called God particle, Cern's Large Hadron Collider started smashing protons together at energy levels we've never seen before. Their stated goal? To reveal more secrets about how the universe works. Let's talk about what this machine actually is. The LHC is the world's largest and most powerful Particle Collider. It's a circular tunnel, nearly 17 miles long, buried 574 feet underground along the border between Switzerland and France. After a 3-year upgrade, it was fired back up in April 2022, and on July 5th of that year, it began a new experiment, running 24/7. For the next 4 years, at a record energy of 13.6 trillion electron volts. That's slightly higher than its previous record. They'll collect data, then shut down again in 2026 for another 3-year upgrade, before starting up once more in 2029. The price tag so far? $9.2 billion. The process sounds like science fiction. They take 2 beams of protons, the particles in the nucleus of the atom, and shoot them in opposite directions around this 17-mile ring at almost the speed of light. Then, they make them collide. These collisions are recorded by massive detectors with names like Atlas, CMS, ALICE, and LHCb. Thousands of scientists will analyze the debris, hoping to find clues about dark matter, dark energy, and what the article calls other fundamental mysteries. And almost immediately, they started finding things. Early in Run 3, Cern reported the observation of 3 new exotic particles. The article explains these could help reveal how the most fundamental building blocks of matter, called quarks, bind together. One experiment, called ALICE, wants to study a state of matter known as quark-gluon plasma, a super-hot soup where atoms melt away. Scientists believe this was the state of the entire universe just a fraction of a second after the Big Bang. Another, called LHCb, studies the beauty quark, and this is where things get strange. The beauty quark is key to understanding the difference between matter and antimatter, their opposite charged twin. When matter and antimatter touch, they annihilate each other in a flash of energy. The Big Bang should have created equal amounts of both, but it didn't. Our universe is made almost entirely of matter. That imbalance, as the article plainly states, has no explanation. We exist because of a cosmic typo that no one can explain. In 2018, CERN scientists figured out how to trap it and transport it from one facility to another. The amount they moved, according to the article, had an energy equivalent of about 20 Hiroshima bombs. The research here is mind-bending. They're testing whether antimatter reacts to gravity the same way matter does. This is a fundamental question. If it doesn't, it would break one of Einstein's core principles. Recent results, the article notes, show that within strict boundaries, it does fall the same way. But the search continues. All this research leads to an even bigger idea, one that feels like it's taken from a sci-fi book. The article quotes a theory. Let me read that part directly from the article. Though it may sound like science fiction, if extra dimensions exist, they could explain why the universe is expanding faster than expected and why gravity is weaker than other forces of nature. The search for extra dimensions is not science fiction. It is a legitimate, active area of research in theoretical physics. CERN's stated mission is to search for evidence of them. But then, the article makes a pivot. After laying out this high-level science, it states, unfortunately, the public is not fully aware of the full potential of CERN as it relates to interdimensional communication. And from this point, the tone of this article shifts. It moves from reporting on science to examining symbols, rituals, and unanswered questions. So please, stay with me. It gets really interesting. It mentions CERN's logo, which some say contains the number 666. Founded in 1954 by 12 European countries, CERN later expanded to more than 20 member states. It is also where the World Wide Web was invented in 1989. Then, it describes an event in 2016. A ceremony for the opening of the Gotthard Base Tunnel in Switzerland. That ceremony was very weird. I won't go into details here to keep this video safe. You can look into it later if you're curious. The journalists directly connect this to CERN's activity. The last time CERN was turned up to full capacity, strange things happened around the world. The Earth's magnetosphere was affected, and an unexplained spiral was observed in Norway. Then it asks the question, point blank. Is there a possibility that CERN opened an interdimensional portal? What are they really looking for? To answer that, it brings in a voice from the other side, a researcher named Sophia Kay, whose brother is a quantum physicist who worked on the collider. She addresses concerns about Cern, telling, "This isn't an episode of Saturday morning cartoons. Sorry to disappoint anyone wanting to test the event horizon theory, but I think we're stuck here in this time zone for a little bit longer." She explains things in a simple way. Before the LHC was built, there were many theories about particles, but there was no method to test them outside of a computer simulation. It's very difficult to prove that certain particles actually exist. Our theories assume they do. Because of the LHC, scientists identified the top quark and the Higgs boson. These discoveries opened a new understanding of our cosmos. Particle acceleration allows us to test the fundamental nature of matter and reality. Sophia then addresses a common concern. She mentions Planck energy. This is a fundamental limit in physics. The Planck energy is a quintillion times higher than the maximum energy of the LHC. The following section has the title Black Holes and Portals to Hell. It mentions that many people distrust Cern. Regarding black holes, two particles could create a microscopic or micro black hole if they collide with energy above a specific threshold. Sophia presents the mainstream scientific position. The prevailing theory of gravity does not predict that a black hole can actually be made this way. Any competent physicist will tell you it's impossible. It would require a total abandonment of physics, quantum field mechanics, and logic. However, Cern's own official channels acknowledge the collider might produce black holes, not the kind found in space. The official position states black hole creation is very unlikely, but they allow for the possibility of tiny quantum black holes. According to sources referenced, such a black hole would decay harmlessly into ordinary particles. Cern states that observing this event would be a major discovery. They say it presents no danger and would be perfectly safe. The stated reasoning is clear. The creation of a black hole at the LHC would confirm theories that our universe is not four-dimensional, but indeed hosts other dimensions. This statement leads to subsequent questions. If dimensions exist beyond the four we experience, how do we know where these tiny black holes go?
Is it possible that the scientists at Cern are trying to open a demonic portal? Do you guys think what Cern is doing could be changing our timeline or how we experience time? This next video argues that Cern could be changing our timeline.
Parallel universes in our multiverse. Let's move that there and focus more here on these lines. In our multiverse, and there's an infinite number of these realities, and in each reality, as every electron spins an animator of an animator to an animator to an animator around a nuclei of an atom, we're catapulted into, an infinite number of alternate universes. Just imagine this is the start of the universe. This is our original timeline, right? But as soon as this starts, we are infinitely catapulted into an infinite number of parallel universes. And somewhere infinity down the line, here's our universe, right? And then we're constantly shifting into alternate universes as we speak. And that expansion of infinite universes is our reality as we know it in time. So therefore, if there are other universes, they're next to ours. And this actually relates to my theory of the Mandela effect and how the particle accelerator altered the weight of one electron and therefore destroyed our universe and shifted us into the universe that's directly next to it, and therefore things are different in this universe.
So you believe that this thing that some people call the Mandela effect is actually real?
Oh, it's absolutely real.
Can you describe what it is for people who have never heard it before?
Sure. So the Mandela effect is the effect of some people thought that Nelson Mandela died at a certain time, and other people remember it as a different time. And this goes for a lot of other things. Star Wars, classic videos, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. Everybody knows that. Well, if you actually look back to the original film, it's not Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. It's Magic Mirror on the Wall. And some people actually...
Which, of course, it's not.
It's not,
in
right?
the reality I grew up in.
Right, exactly. And I mean, some people in this reality, I guess, maybe didn't make it from our last reality, I'm thinking. I'm still trying to figure out why they don't remember it. And some people do. But anyway, though, that is the Mandela effect, and we are living in an alternate expansion of our universes. Even in my own scientific notes, I've found rewritten signatures and things that are a little bit different from originally what I wrote.
So how did that actually happen? Let's take your notebook, or let's take Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, like an old film, animated film. How did it actually change?
Well, it never changed. We changed.
That kid was one smart cookie. I think it is best to leave what God created alone.
This footage was shared online. The user states that they are using a tone generator to open a rift in time and space.
There's fracture.
As the clip continues, the user explains how he uses audio frequencies to open a fracture in space.
And already you can see a much more stable fracture. Okay. I have to do this quick because this stuff does not last. 525. You can see there's a whole range of tones here, but 525 you're going to hear.
As he continues to film, allegedly the fracture opens up to reveal a portal. A light flares and an opening widens to reveal a city on the other side. Is this just some fancy visual effects and an elaborate prank? Or does this technology exist?
Could it be possible to open a portal in your own bedroom using light and a tone generator? If you guys get it to work, let me know. I am thinking that last one was CGI. This last clip is one that I cannot explain for the life of me.
Is this 300 million year old wheel proof of time travel? Hear me out, because this story is amazing. In 2008, a coal miner in Ukraine in the area called Donchik found this wheel encased in rock over a kilometer under the earth. From what I read, they said at that depth, that wheel would have to be 300 million years old. That's only a couple 100 million years before we're told people existed. And I found stories about this wheel everywhere, even the Huffington Post. But the best story was here on the Ancient Origins website, which talks about the wheel being found in 2008. That the coal miners found it, but they couldn't cut it out and still be safe in the mine. That the wheel itself is actually embedded in rock 900 meters down from the surface. You might think, why don't people just go down in the bottom of that coal mine and try to get it out? Because the mine where this wheel was found in ended up getting flooded. Yeah, flooded. And that mine hasn't been worked since then, for years. So my question is, that wheel, dated at 300 million years old, was on Earth before people. How did that happen? Well, maybe a time traveler was using it and left it behind. What do you think of this story, Booshkies? Let me know in the comments section. Shabadoo!
Now that was a crazy time travel story. Any of you have an idea of how that wheel got there? Well, that is all the time we have for this episode, fellow foilers. Tune in next time for more strange and paranormal TikToks and videos from around the world. Until then, stay warm and be nice to your neighbor, eh?